So first of all, one of the areas that we see of great interest with our customers in the industry in general is cloud computing. So this idea of being able to operate more efficiently, operate very cost effectively, and to be able to not have to necessarily maintain all of that equipment or purchase that equipment. So cloud computing is certainly an area that contact centers are taking a very close look at. Now, the first application that most are considering is taking the voice portal. Now, in the past, that would have been referred to as an example of an IVR, an interactive voice response system. Now they're more than that, and hence why they've grown to become voice portals. Now, those are ideal for the cloud because it's something that is primarily hardware and software centric, doesn't require agents because it's a voice portal, and it's easy to move the call from the voice portal in the cloud down to an agent. But I think that's really just the beginning of what we're going to see with cloud computing. We believe that ultimately, virtually every application in the contact center will be cloud-based. It just makes too much sense. Very cost-effective, easy to deploy. You can expand you can expand and essentially size what you need very easily in the cloud, which is much harder to do when you're doing that on premise. Now, also, we're finding that cloud computing doesn't necessarily mean off-site or with a third party, is we're also seeing internal enterprises or IT organizations building their own corporate cloud. And of course, that's transparent to the technology. So we think that Voice Portal is ideal for the first step in cloud computing within the contact center, but we ultimately see the entire contact center moving to the cloud. It's just too compelling for a lot of different reasons for that not to happen over the next few years. So whether it's cloud-based or not, Voice Portal is typically used as a front end in the contact centers where you may want to, either using DTMF or speech recognition, you may want to communicate with the caller, gather information, ask questions, ask them why they're calling, and without having to get to a live agent yet, be able to, in some cases, solve the customer's problem, whether that's making a sale or supporting them. But in cases where they do need to get to a live agent, you're able to collect that information up front, so you can make the experience with the live agent much more effective. Now, the key there is making sure that the voice portal is highly integrated with the contact center applications so that that information is passed very seamlessly. The worst thing, and where we hear the biggest complaint from customers or consumers, is I communicate with a voice portal and I enter my account number and I give it information. I get to a live agent and then they ask me all the same information again. So that integration between voice portal and live agent is very, very important for the customer experience. And that's probably where we see the biggest investment moving forward, is in tighter and tighter integration. We're also starting to see growth in Voice Portal in areas around the world where Voice Portal wasn't necessarily accepted in the past. And Asia is a good example of that. We saw widespread adoption and acceptance of Voice Portal several years ago in the United States and in Europe. But Asia was not quite as adoptive and adaptive to a voice portal, but we're seeing that now grow and change. Efficiency, acceptance, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, there's many things to consider when it comes to voice portal. One is whether you'd like to have it cloud-based or whether you'd like to have it on-premise. Now, the end customer or the consumer is not going to know the difference, but from an operating point of view, certainly you have to give consideration of where you want it to reside. The second is, what are the types of applications that you want to put on the voice portal versus handle with live service? So there may be some transactions that can be handled exclusively on a voice portal. Great example there is calling an airline and being able to get gate and time information. There's no reason for me to talk to a live agent just to know what time my flight is going to arrive or what gate it's going to arrive. So those are very, very easy transactions to move to voice portal. Now, there's going to be other types of transactions that I may want to front end with voice portal, but I ultimately want to get the caller to a live agent. So collecting information up front, why am I calling, information about my account, and then by the time that gets to the agent, I've made very efficient use of their time. So those are also things to consider. And then, of course, that interaction. What applications do I want to put on Voice Portal? What applications do I want to reside with the live agent? And then how do I want those two to interact? And it really comes down to the trade-offs of your operational efficiency against the experience that you want your customer to have. And there's a fine balance between what is a really good experience for customers with Voice Portal and live agents versus your operating costs and the way that you would like to maintain your systems. And so certainly we give advice to our customers all the time about what's appropriate and what are the right applications to put in an automated system like Voice Portal versus a live agent system. I think the biggest change that we're going to see in the next 2 to 5 years is going to be that the barriers between the contact center and the enterprise are really going to go away quite rapidly. What we've seen in the past is that many times contact centers are very segregated from the rest of the enterprise. And anyone that's had an experience of calling into a contact center and then having that call move to somewhere on the enterprise historically has not been a very good experience. And that's because the contact center was not highly integrated with the rest of the enterprise. The change that we're seeing due to unified communications and collaboration is that the barriers between the contact center and the remainder of the enterprise are really being broken down very quickly. So a much better experience for the customer. And because unified communications and collaboration are this vehicle to bridge the contact center and the enterprise, it's becoming much more efficient in the way the contact centers are operated. So first call resolutions are growing because of that. So not only is it good for the consumer, but it's also good from an operating perspective within the company. So I think that's probably going to be the biggest change that we're going to see. The second biggest change that's already been happening and will continue to happen is that contact centers typically were a multi-vendor solution. So you had to put together 3 or 4 different applications or technologies, highly integrate those to really have a total solution for the contact center. Now, because of consolidation and any number of reasons, we're really seeing that the top contact centers are adopting unified technology, where rather than being separate, integrated technologies, they're built into one application. And it makes for deployment easier, it makes for integration easier. And that's a trend that we definitely see continue.